Okay, that is what I did last time, okay. Let's see. Yeah, I don't need much of a flat for it to stay, I just need it to stay. It looks like it's about where it's supposed to be. Yep, not too bad. This is the counter bore. Okay, we're right there. Seeing that is the same size as this drill bit. That pilot right there. It doesn't let the thing walk all over the place.
Yeah.
A little bit more. There we go. There is no accommodation to put a 90 and they want a straight fitting.
I see.
You know what they say, the customer's always right.
Yeah, they say that.
They say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here we go. Final part. And then we'll tap it over there and that'll be finished. Okay, let's see. Oh, we're real good.
Oh, there you go.
All right, let's see where we are. Oh, we're good. The O-ring is 2/3 of the way down, so we're good. The seal in there is this O-ring, you know, because it goes in there this way. So this is roughly 2/3 of it. That's 1/3, and the O-ring is 2/3 of the way down because you got a bigger shoulder on the top of the ring than you do on the bottom. So the O-ring sits deep down in there. That step right sits right there's where the O-ring is. A little bit of lube on there. Yes. Maybe let's take this off and compare, make sure it's the right one. The right thickness. That's it. Okay, thank you, Mr. Morelli. Now we're in business. Got everything I need to put it back together. And that goes into the seal holder, which I'll put it in now. A little bit of oil on it. They said this pump's leaking. Well, the only reason it would leak is if the seal was leaking.
Yeah.
A little bit of thread sealer never hurts. Okay. That's the nut. When you tighten this up, it collapses the ferrule inside, and it collapses on the tube so it doesn't leak.
Oh, interesting.
Here,
No.
I'll show you one. See the taper inside the hole? See the taper on there? When you tighten the nut down, it shoves that into there because your tube's already through and it collapses around the tube.
This bends? This part bends?
No, this collapses on the tube
See,
because of
here's
the taper.
I see.
The deeper you push it in, the tighter it gets.
I see.
That's why it's got that big head on there. It sits in a seat in here, and as you tighten the nut, it pushes that ferrule deeper down into the hole here on the fitting and collapses around the tube.
I see.
And I got a little lube on the O-ring. With our assembly lube that we get lots of comments on. People seem to love this stuff. I do. I swear by it. It's great stuff, man. Bring it over here and put it on. There we go. I look for everything when I take these things apart. See that hole? That has to match with this knob here. That goes into that hole. There's an O-ring here and there's an O-ring up there that's a ball check. That's what determines how much oil is going to be going up to the seal. I'll put some lube on here, even though there's a little bit, I want to put some more on here. This is the balance bushing. Actually, this is a balance, the bushing is in there.
I see.
This runs inside of the bushing. See, now it just went onto the bushing. Now, if you want to see that pop back out, that's going to be doing that pretty quickly here. See it come out?
Pushed up.
It pushed right up out of there, yeah. The spring tension overcomes the, the seal of the O-ring. All right, now we got to pull it down, seal everything up. Now it's just a little at a time. We're going to pull this thing together. As long as the bolts are tight, we're good to go. So I'm going to put the bearing on. That'll push the seal face back in. Got to have that spacer under the bearing. That's home. Okay. See why I do this, in case something doesn't turn or something doesn't work right, I only have to take 2 bolts out. Let's see, put this snap ring on. This one looks like it might make it. There we go, it clicked in. So that means we're good to go. Get a little brass punch and knock it into position. See, that little shim is in the groove because it's so thin. See, it's in the groove. It needs to be there. They make this shim so it just fits. There it went. There we go. See how close the ends are? That means I'm in the slot. There we go. Okay, we're good to go. Real quick, be sure it rolls. Oh yeah, look at that, just like downtown. Okay, we're good to go. And Morelli, he comes out and he checks every one of these personally to be sure they turn. Oh yeah. If they don't turn and he doesn't like the way it turns, he lets me know and he goes, take it apart, find out there's something wrong. He's been doing it his whole life and I've been doing it now for, over 15 years. And you get a feel for how the pump's supposed to feel when it turns. Because I turned plenty of new ones. It won't fit in these cutouts. The head of the torque wrench won't fit. So I just make them tight. I think this should be the last one. And that's it. I knew that was there. I left it in there purposely in case there was a bunch of oil, it wouldn't drain all out on the floor.
That makes sense.
See these screws? They lay on there.
What is that?
That's the pad they run on. They spin on there. If I didn't have that bearing attached up on top, all this would fall out. It wouldn't drop the center screw, but the center screw will go far enough to where these guys will drop on it. That holds the center shaft and that's your drive. But these guys, once they hit these pads, will go back up all the way. It's all gone now. Yep. Toothbrush comes in handy for a lot of things around here.
Sure.
Every toolbox deserves a toothbrush. If these were worn, these screws would be worn. Right. That says there's something wrong. If you got marks on here or sometimes they're actually worn down, and that means there's too much friction between here and here. Or see, these are also lubricated through here. If I blow air through here, it's going to come out these holes. Watch this one. I'm going to close the other one. Now, I don't know if this is actual pump pressure or what it is, but it comes off of that ball check that I showed you up top. The one, that hub that fit into that socket, that fires this also. Just make sure we got the right hole. You see there's two holes here, one here, one here. I need the correct one for this pin. I'll show you the difference if you want to look up in the hole. See what that one looks like, can you see it? And we'll spin it over to this one. See the difference of the way the holes look totally different? That seat is this, and it seals with that O-ring on here. That O-ring seals up in the bore. This is the feeder for the seal. Yes, it is. This is the seal feeder. And this one is just through. This one has a little orifice in it to call it because it's such a smaller hole. It's similar to this one. And if you want to see what the bottom of the screws look like, see that they're hollow in the centers. They only run on this surface here. You're only using the hydraulics of the oil, whatever amount of pressure this is at, for them to run on. And if you look, they got little grooves in them here. That's to relieve oil out of there as it's spinning. Just the little nuances of this thing. I gotta be careful here as I put it back together because everything has to come back in place. The only way I'm gonna know if I'm where I'm supposed to be. One there, one here. There we go. And if that pin and that hole don't line up, it won't fall. And there it did, lined right up. There she goes. Hear it?
No, does that get over the lip of the O-ring? Or?
Yeah, O-ring and fell onto that pin. It was probably just off the fuzz. And I'll then tighten the bolts, so that's it, we're done. I just make them tight. You know, again, I can't get a torque wrench in here either. There's no room to get the head of it in here anywhere.